So what is your job title?
So my job title here at Ryzing Technologies is the CEO and Principal Engineer.
How long have you had this title?
So I've had this title for 5 years, since I gave it to myself 5 years ago when we started the company. But I've been an engineer for over 18 years now.
What is Ryzing Technologies?
So Ryzing Technologies, at a high level, is kind of an engineering design firm. And we specialize in engineered textiles, so fabric structures, inflatable structures, anything where you're looking to try to take fabric or fibers and perform a function, a structural function typically, or any real function that needs that function designed into the end product. And the company was founded in 2015 by myself and the other owner, Ryan Long. Our goal is kind of to create a culture that kind of fosters innovation, fosters kind of an environment that people want to come and work in. Over the last 5 years, I feel like we've been really successful and lucky to have established a great team of individuals, and we've been able to do some really neat things working with the Department of Defense, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and also working with NASA on some projects as well. Then also too, working with other businesses to solve problems for them as well. Having kind of a mix of different types of projects coming from different places is really kind of what we hope to create, and we've been successful so far creating a space that everybody enjoys to come to, and we do really neat things.
What is one thing you didn't expect from this job?
So one thing I didn't expect from this job, graduating as an engineer, what you want to do is really get into designing things and figuring things out. But one of the things that you really learn as an engineer, that's one of the most important things about the design process, is really understanding how it's going to be fabricated in the end. So having an understanding of how they work on the floor, how the machines work, and be able to adapt that into the design is one thing that as an engineer you think like, I just need to design it right. Well, you need to design it right, but you also need to design it in a way that it can be produced.
What is one thing that's interesting about this job?
One thing that's really interesting about this job is with the projects, you get into kind of the design phase, you kind of work through the conceptual designs, you go into the details of the designs, you really kind of dive in, doing the analysis, figuring out how it's going to work and everything like that, which is all great when you see it on the computer. You kind of see, you can model it up and you see what it looks like, but then where it's kind of the most exciting part and kind of the most interesting for me is after you send that design out and you have the shop floor kind of doing the fabrication, and then you see what you had on this computer in front of you, designed and built, and it's working. That's one of probably the most rewarding and kind of most exciting things about my job, and having that kind of ability to kind of see it being produced and fabricated and prototyped, this design that you've spent however many weeks or months creating.
What is the hardest thing that you've had to do?
So some of the harder things that I've had to do as an engineer and kind of the co-owner of the company is really figuring out how to balance kind of your passion as an engineer and wanting to really dive into the details and really kind of work through things. At the same time, being able to take a step back, look at the company as a whole, and kind of the scheduling and the human resource stuff and all the people side of things, and being able to really balance that in order to be a successful business. That's probably the biggest challenge that I've kind of had in my career, is really kind of working that both sides of where your passion is, but then also to trying to make the business as successful as possible.
How much education do you need to have for this job?
Typically engineers have a bachelor's degree in engineering. Within engineering there's a bunch of different disciplines, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, chemical engineering, electrical and computer are kind of the main ones. My education was, I went to Villanova University and got a mechanical engineering degree. There I have a minor in computer science and a minor in computer engineering as well. There's also avenues to get a master's in engineering as well, and then all the way up to a PhD. At the same time, working with lots of different people in this industry and seeing how they get to kind of being able to design things. I've seen people with degrees that do great. I've also seen people without degrees that just kind of have that knack or experience that they've had building things growing up or figuring things out, be successful designers as well, even without an education. So I think the education is always hugely important to be able to get your foot in the door and really kind of advance in your career. But really kind of having that mindset of an engineer and being able to problem solve, work through things is probably the most important thing about engineering.
What does the average day of your job look like?
So the average day here at Ryzing Technologies for me, at the start of the day, typically we're working on a handful of different projects, maybe 2 or 3 different projects. Some are in the design phases, some are getting prototyped out in the shop, some are in the testing phases. It's really, for me, there's time that I sit down, usually in the morning, kind of getting everything kind of organized, start working on some of the design stuff as stuff is getting progressed in the shop that's being prototyped or fabricated. I'll tend to go out there, check on things, see how things are going, see if there's any issues. If an issue does come up out there, our team typically goes to look and troubleshoot. Little mini design reviews out there to see what's going on, what the issues are, and how we can resolve them. And there's some days too where we do testing, whether it's out here or we do testing remotely at a location. So there's some travel for testing. For me, as kind of one of the owners, there's also kind of the added things that I perform on the kind of management side of things, and also in the management of kind of the business development as well. We have a business development person, and I work closely with him, provide him technical assistance as he's going out trying to find new business and those types of things. So for me, it's kind of a balance of a bunch of different areas, but that's also too what is enjoyable about the job is you're not just sitting there behind a computer all day long. You get to kind of figure out things, go see different things happening and kind of balance all that.